is a dumpster fire. It is contrived water trash that only exists as a fabrication in order to censor the real Book of Jasher, which I will not only prove here, but by the end of this video you will have no doubts of what the real Book of Jasher actually is. First, I think we can all agree that if Jasher is what it's claiming to be, then it therefore must be Torah. The Israelites didn't have anything except for the Torah that was written by Moses when they went into Canaan. And once the Torah was written, it could never be altered in any way, and Scripture must agree with Scripture. The three main arguments for modern Jasher being Scripture come from Joshua 10:13, 2 Samuel 1:18, and 2 Timothy 3:8. The first and probably the worst, in my opinion, example is Joshua 10:13. The Israelites are fighting the Amorites. Joshua prays for the sun and the moon to stand still in the sky, and they do. And we read, "And the sun stood still and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies." Is not this written in the book of Jasher? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and hasted not to go down about a whole day. Make note that there was no event like it before or after in verse 14. So I'll ignore the fact that in Jasher 88:63-64, in verse 64 it says that the sun stood still for 36 moments, but I'm pretty sure that word is supposed to be minutes. However, that's already wrong because it said that the sun stood still all day. The main point, though, is that the record in Jasher here is being presented as an historical account. Read what came before it. Read everything that comes after it. This is not prophecy. This is a record of historical events. So how exactly is Joshua referencing an historical account about an event that is currently happening to him that has never happened before or after in the entirety of human existence? How does this book, supposedly written before Joshua entered into Canaan, that is part of Torah, even go for another 17 years into the lifetime of Joshua? How does that happen? This passage is actually referencing a passage from Jubilees 34, in which 7 Amorite kings decide to make war upon Jacob and his sons, and Jacob defeated them and claimed a tribute from them. Just read what comes before verse 13 in Joshua. Starting all the way up at verse 5 shows there were 5 Amorite kings. They are making war against Israel in the same area, and the same sort of events are taking place, with the exception of one new, unique, miraculous event. As a matter of fact, we see in Genesis 48:21-22 that Israel gives an extra portion that he received as tribute from the Amorites to Joseph. But we do not find this story anywhere else in the modern canon. We only find it here in Jubilees 34. Second argument comes from 2 Samuel 1:18. Also he bade them teach children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, is written in the book of Jasher. Jasher capitalizes on this verse in 56, verse 9. Only teach thy sons the bow and all the weapons of war. And yet again, we find the real reference in this passage being made to Jubilees 37. It turns out that Jacob was a master marksman who killed his brother Esau with a well-placed bow and arrow shot to the chest from a great distance. It actually continues into Jubilees 38, which is just so cool, I just want to read it. And after that Judah spake to Jacob and his father, and said unto him, Bend thy bow, father, and send forth thy arrows, and cast down the adversary, and slay the enemy. That's some John Wick stuff. The last and the least common of the main arguments is 2 Timothy 3:8. Jannes and Jambres are mentioned. Jasher 79 mentions them, says that they're the sons of Pharaoh. These are the 2 sorcerers that supposedly stood against Moses when he came to visit Pharaoh. The legend of Jannes and Jambres was actually common knowledge at that time anyways, so I mean it's kind of just a meh argument. But yeah, it existed way before any of this, so. I have so many more examples, but I'm going to have to make this into a part 2, so I'll just leave you off with just a taste of how it's going to be going. Chapter 1, Adam names Eve immediately upon awakening when she is brought to him. Adam did not name Eve until the time of the exile. Literally, the errors begin in chapter 1, and they just do not stop.